आता हो नाथ जान हम पूजा करते हैं। जय जय शिव नंदन हाथ जोड़े हम वंदन करते हैं। जय जय शिव नंदन हाथ जोड़े हम वंदन करते हैं। तुम सुख दाता हो नाथ जान हम पूजा करते हैं। माथे पे तिलक बिराजे गले फूलों की माला साजे साजे गल फूलों की माला साजे। माथे पे तिलक बिराजे गले फूलों की माला साजे साजे गल फूलों की माला साजे। तुम तीन लोक के दाता नाथ हम पूजा करते हैं। जय जय शिव नंदन हाथ जोड़े हम पूजा करते हैं। धन पार्वती है माई जिन्हें ऐसा बेटा जाई जिन्हें ऐसा बेटा जाई। धन पार्वती है माई जिन्हें ऐसा बेटा जाई जाई जिन्हें ऐसा बेटा जाई। भगतन के आप सहाय सदा शिव रक्षा करते हैं। जय जय शिव नंदन हाथ जोड़े हम वंदन करते हैं। तुम सुख दाता हो नाथ जान हम पूजा करते हैं। जो प्रथम गणेश मनावे वो मन वांछित फल पावे पावे वो मन वांछित फल पावे। जो प्रथम गणेश मनावे वो मन वांछित फल पावे पावे वो मन वांछित फल। जो पूजा भेंट चढ़ावे नाथ सब कार्य करते हैं। जय जय शिव नंदन हाथ जोड़े हम वंदन करते हैं। तुम सुख दाता हो नाथ जान हम पूजा करते हैं। भगतन पे कृपा कीजिए और भक्ति दान बर दीजिए और भक्ति दान बर दीजिए। भगतन पर कृपा कीजिए और भक्ति दान बर दीजिए और भक्ति दान बर दीजिए। हमें अपनी शरण में लीजिए नाथ, हम वंदन करते हैं। जय जय शिव नंदन, हाथ जोड़ हम पूजा करते हैं। तुम सुख दाता हो नाथ जान, हम पूजा करते हैं। जय जय शिव नंदन, हाथ जोड़ हम वंदन करते हैं। तुम सुख दाता हो नाथ जान, हम पूजा करते हैं। जय जय शिव नंदन, हाथ जोड़ हम पूजा करते हैं। तुम सुख दाता हो नाथ जान, हम पूजा करते हैं। बोले गणपति भगवान की जय।
चलो मन गंगा जमुना तीर, चलो मन गंगा जमुना तीर, चलो मन गंगा जमुना तीर, चलो मन गंगा जमुना तीर। शरीर चलो मन गंगा जमुना तीर, चलो मन गंगा जमुना तीर। बंसी बजा
मत जा मत जा मत जा मत जा मत जा मत जा रे मत जा मत जा मत जा जोगी मत जा मत जा मत जा जोगी मत जा मत जा मत जा पाम पड़ूं मैं पाम पड़ूं मैं पाम पड़ूं मैं तोरे मत जा मत जा मत जा जोगी मत जा मत जा मत जा पाम पड़ूं मैं पाम पड़ूं मैं पाम पड़ूं मैं तोरे मत जा 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 जोगे मत जा मत जा मत जा जल भल भई भस्म की ढेरी जल भल भई भस्म की ढेरी ढेरी जल भल भई 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 भस्म की ढेरी जल भल भई भस्म की ढेरी अंग से अंग लगा जा मत जा मत जा मत जा जोगे 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 मत जा मत जा जोगे मत जा मत जा मत जा मत जा मत जा जोगे मत जा मत जा मत जा मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर मीरा के प्रभु मीरा के प्रभु मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर गिरिधर नागर गिरिधर नागर गिरिधर नागर मीरा के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर अंग से अंग रमा जा मत जा मत जा मत जाओगे मत जा मत जा मत जाओगे मत जा मत जा मत जा पाम पढ़ूं मैं पाम पढ़ूं मैं तोरे मत जा मत जा मत जा जोगे मत जा मत जा मत जा मत जा मत जा मत जा
जय जय गणनायका जय जय विघ्न विनाशका जय जय गणनायका जय जय विघ्न विनाशका जय जय गणनायका जय जय विघ्न विनाशका
बोलिए गणपति भगवान की जय। सभी लोग खड़े होकर ब्यासी का स्वागत करें। डिवोटी लाइक Krishna Rohit Kumar Vyasi. Today's Sunday service little bit change because of our 3 days yagna. So now we're going to do now Vyas Puja, Vyas Arati. Then we're going to start our like Raman yagna. धन्यवाद। बोलिए व्यासी महाराज की जय। हरि ओम। स्वस्ति न इंद्रो वृहस्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नक्तारक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु बृहदस्वामरुतः वृष्णीमातरः शुभं यावानो विदते कुजग्मयः अग्निर्जुहामनवः शूरचक्षुषो विश्वेनो देवा अवसागमन्यः भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवा भद्रं पश्येमाच्चभिर्यत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैतुष्टुभागुं सस्तनोभिर्वशे मयि देवहितं यदायो शतमेन्नु शरदो अन्ति देवा यत्रा न चक्राजरसन्तनूनाम् ॐ नमोऽस्तु नन्ताय सहस्रमूर्तये सहस्रपादाचिहोरुहावे सहस्रनाम्नि पुरुषाय शाश्वते सहस्रकोटियुगधारिणे नमः। ॐ माल्यादिनि सुगन्धिनि मलत्यादिनि वे प्रभो मयतानि विष्माणि पूजातां प्रतिक्रियतां नः। गार्लिन्स विनीता जी माला। ओम पुष्पमाले प्रदापयामि। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। आरार्तिकं समर्पयामि। चन्द्रमा मनसो जातचक्षुषो सूर्यो अजायतः श्रोत्राद्वायुष प्राणच मुखात् अग्निरजायतः। अद्य श्री गुरुदेवताभ्यो नमो नमः। यजमानमस्तके चन्द्रं समर्पयामि। ओम जयंती मंगला काली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शुभादात्री स्वाहा सोदा नमोस्तुते। बोलिए व्यास जी महाराज की जय, व्यास जी भगवान की जय। एक और लाइए आरती ना, सुनीता जी, बिंदा जी, come front of Vedi. We're going to do now Ramayan ji ka arati with our Yajaman sponsor family. Today Sunday service will change. We're going to do now Ramayan arati, Vyas puja. Then Pandit ji gonna start, our Vyas ji gonna start our this Ramayan Yagna pravachan. Dhanyavad. If any were prasad for Hanumanji, so anytime we can bring prasad and drop front of Hanumanji. We have bowl here because of service little will change. And if you have prasad for the Sunday service offering, so put your prasad on the table. We're going to offer this prasad before Arati. Dhanyavad.
We join together in Ramayana Arati. Just the Yajman will do Arati this morning. Varnanam marat sanganam rasanam chandrasamapi mangalanam chakartaro vandevani vinayako vandevani vinayaka. आरती श्री रामायण की तीरथ कल आरती श्री रामायण की तीरथ कल आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीरति कल तललित गावत ब्रह्मादिक मुनि नारद वाल्मीक विज्ञान विशारद संकादि शेष अनुसारद वरली पवन सुत कीरत आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीरत कल तललित दावत वेद पुराण अक्षरश गाओ शास्त्र सब ग्रंथन को रस मुनि जन धन संतन को सर्वस तार अंश सम्मत सबही आरती श्री रामायण की कीरति कल तललित सियपी की संतत शंभु भवानी अर्गत संभव मुनि ज्ञानी व्यास आदि कवि वर्ग बखानी काम सुंदर के शीशी आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीरति कल तललित सियपी की कलिमल हरनि विषय रस पीति सुबह सिंगार मुक्ति युवती की दलन रोग भव अमीति तात मत सब विधि तुलसी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की
रामायण जी की कीर्ति कलित ललित श्री
प्रेम तो सीतापति रामचंद्र भगवान की
जय।
सभी लोग आसन लीजिए। एवरीवन प्लीज बी सीटेड। As we clasp our hands and close our eyes, we bow our heads in humility as we invoke the presence of the Divine Lord into our minds, into our sphere, to create that feeling of serenity. भवानी शंकरो वंदे श्रद्धा विश्वास रूपिणो याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धस्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम् सिद्धस्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम् वन्दे बोधमयं नित्यं गुरुशङ्कररूपिणं यमासितो हि वक्रोऽपि चन्द्रः सर्वत्र वन्द्यते चन्द्रः सर्वत्र वन्दते सीताराम गुणग्राम पुण्यार विहारिणो वन्दे विशुद्ध्य विज्ञान कवीश्वर कपीश्वरो कवीश्वर कपीश्वरो। श्री राम बोलो श्री राम श्री राम जय राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम बोलो श्री राम
जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम बोलो
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम बोलो
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
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 बोलो जय सीताराम
बोलो जय सीताराम
बोलो जय राधा राम
बोलो जय राधा राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम बोलो
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम बोलो
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम सीताराम
बोलो जय सीताराम
श्री राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
बोलो श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय जय बोलो
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम
जय जय राम
राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय बोलो
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय
जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
बोलो
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम
जय जय राम प्रेम से बोलो सीतापति रामचंद्र भगवान की जय Let me take this opportunity in the name of the Divine Lord Rama and on behalf of my dear sister Vinita and her entire family to welcome each and every one of you to this the third session of this Ram Katha. We started to read from the Ramcharitmanas on Friday night and then last night and this morning is the conclusion of this yajna. So there's a slight variation in our programming for Sunday morning for those of you who are familiar with this. Last night our katha was, we discussed the concept of appreciating God within our lives. And I left everyone with a question. How many of you were here last night? Put your hands up, please. Don't be shy. Put your hands high up. I want to see you. Because I'm about to ask you a question. What were you supposed to think about? What was the question posed to you? Huh? The mirror. Ah. What is the value of a mirror in our lives? What is the value of a mirror in our lives? And then last week, for those of us who come to the regular Sunday service, what was our discussion last week? Those who were here last Sunday, put your hands up, please. Some people can't even remember if they were here or not. Put your hands up. What was the subject? Yes. I want everything to play as it is, but I want it just nice and low. These music, everything. So what was the subject? What was the question that I left you last week with? Was 3 L's. To live, to learn, to love, and to leave a legacy. So we talked about that since we are here, we must live. We must learn while we live. We must love while we live. And if we live, learn, and love, we will leave a legacy. And today the question is, what is the value of a mirror in our lives? Let's talk about learning and what we will learn about a mirror in our lives. So today we shall discuss that aspect of learning. Wow. Learning. Now this morning, how many of us used the mirror? Put your hands up, please. Everybody used the mirror this morning, I hope. Now, what was the purpose of the mirror again? Why did you use it? Anyone? Dylan, why did you use the mirror this morning?
To fix my hair.
To fix your hair. Okay. Kamini, why did you use the mirror this morning?
To put on my makeup.
To put on her makeup. Okay. Tara, why did you use the mirror this morning?
To see how beautiful I look.
To see how beautiful I look. She is being honest. Give her a big hand, please. It's not that Dylan was not being honest and Kamini, but they were speaking specifically. But why do we look at the mirror?
Reflection.
To see how we look. Does the mirror make us look good? Does the mirror make us look good? Hmm? Yes or no? So, but then it doesn't make us look good, but yet we look at it to see how we're looking. So, what is the benefit of the mirror again? The mirror shows us the way we are. It doesn't matter how good you think you may look. It doesn't matter how you think about yourself. When you look at the mirror, you're seeing, that's me. Now, interestingly, you may look at the mirror and think that you look good, and you turn around and somebody says, you don't look that good. You just looked at the mirror and says, fixed everything perfect, and you turn around and somebody says, you don't look that good. Really? So now someone else is looking at you and saying, you're not looking good. That person is giving an opinion. The mirror doesn't give any opinions, by the way. The mirror allows you to make your decision about how you look, or how you don't look. God is that kind of mirror. He doesn't make judgments about how we look. He gives us the ability to decide how do we look. He gives us the ability to decide that we look good or not look good. Now when the person tells you you don't look good, you may say, oh really? But you looked again and said, no, I look good. You will ignore the comment about that person because you looked at the mirror and you feel good about yourself. Now think carefully about this. The mirror shows us the way we are. The world has opinions about who we are. We decide who we are. The mirror shows us the way we are. The world has an opinion about how we are. We decide who we are. And not only in looks, we decide who we are on persona. Who we are in thought, word, and deed. We decide. Today, our discussion will be learning from what we've learned from the mirror. That the mirror only shows us the way we are. We must learn that. No mirror will ever make us look good. No person's opinion would necessarily make us look good. It is we who have to feel good and then look good. Now, if I'm wearing a Pierre Cardin shirt and I have a Michael Kors watch, and I have rubies and pearls on my hands, and I have the latest hairstyle cut short, sticking up very firm, and I stand in front of the mirror, I may think that I look good. But you will say, Panditji, you're too old for that. You will say, definitely you're too old for that, but I thought, oh, why I look so good? And here you're telling me, I'm too old for this. Now the realities are, we choose to be who we want to be. In choosing who we want to be, though, we must understand that everything we do will have an impact upon those around us. Many of us says, why are you worried about me? I'm doing it. Why should it bother you? It's me, I'm doing it. Why should it bother you? The mirror is the only one that will say, it doesn't bother me. But everyone else around you will say, how you look means something to me. Because I love you, because I care for you, because I want to be with you. I feel good about the way you look. The mirror doesn't give it two hoots. It says, that's how you look. God does not care a two hoots about how we look. It doesn't matter if we were in Pierre Cardin or we were in the best shalwar kameez or the best kurta and dhoti or the suit and tie. He says, I know you for who you are, naked. You are my child. So today our subject will be of what we should learn in the world so that we can live up to what God has given us. That He's given us. When we come into this world, the poet tells us, that we come into this world तूने मुझको जग में भेजा निर्मल देह करताया आकर के संसार संसार में मैंने इसको दाग लगाया। जन्म जन्म की मैली चादर कैसे दाग छुड़ाऊं।
मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे, मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे द्वार तुम्हारे आऊं।
हे पावन
परमेश्वर मेरे मन ही मन शर्माऊं।
मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे, मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे। तूने मुझको जग में भेजा। When you send me into this world, निर्मल देह करताया, you give me a pure form. आ करके संसार में मैंने इसको दाग लगाया. But as soon as I arrive in this world, I become a victim of the world, that I'm affected by the world. To be exact, I become contaminated by the world. Janama janama ki maili chadar, I've become so contaminated that it will take not one lifetime, but many lifetimes again to make me pure as you have given me. So the point, volume, harmonium volume. I am at the point that whereby, oh Lord, you've given me all these things that are pure. So the question we are asking ourselves today, what do we have to do to maintain the purity that God has given us when we come into the world? Someone will say, Panditji, you have to take a bath every day, right? I said, yes, that's the outside cleansing. Bathing is important. We have to brush our teeth, we have to do all of these other things. I'm not talking about the physical cleansing, I'm talking about the mental purity. And our katha today is to what we must do, how we must live, how we must relate to the rest of the world, so we will maintain this spiritual purity. So the theme is what we must learn in the world. Last week we talked about that we live, we must learn, we must love, and then we shall leave a legacy. Now what is a legacy? Not the money we leave behind, not the car, not the property. It is our good karma that we leave behind. The things that we do that will bring comfort to others, the things that we do or say that will bring comfort to others, the things that we think that will bring betterment to others. So Sant Goswami Tulsidas tells us that here is the philosophy we must follow in this world so that we can maintain this ongoing purity of mind. Firstly, he says, जासु तुम्हार मानस विमल हंसिनी जी जास ओ रामा मुक्त हाल गुण गण सुनई राम बसऊ मन तास ओ रामा राम बसऊ मन तास सियावर रामचंद्र पढ़ गए शरणम शंकर हरि ओम जय सिया राम शंकर हरि ओम जय सिया राम। जासु तुम्हारे मानस विमल जासु तुम्हारे मानस विमल हंसिनी जी जात ओ रामा हंसिनी जी जात मुक्त हाल गुण गण सुने, राम बसहु मन साथ, ओ रामा राम बसहु मन साथ, सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरण, शंकर हरि ओम जय जय सिया राम, शंकर हरि ओम जय जय सिया राम। How difficult is it in life to only see the good in everything? How difficult is it in life to only see the good in everything? We look around the world and say there's no good in the world. So then, how difficult it is for us to see good in everything? Someone has got a gun pointing at you. What's good about that? What can be good out of someone pointing a gun at you? You will certainly realize the value of your life. Immediately, oh my God, my life is about to end. Look how much I have. I have life. That's what I can learn when someone is pointing a gun at me, threatening to take my life. Immediately, my life becomes the most valuable thing. Before that, I'm living. But the minute my life is in danger, or I'm threatened with an illness, what's the good out of that? Enjoy what you have. It's not going to last forever. There's a lesson to be learned from every incident in life. Sant Goswami Tulsidas is telling us that we must be like the swan, that who would look into a muddy pool of water, and if there is a pearl in that muddy pool of water, with one attempt, it will find the pearl. You and I will never see the pearl, or we will see the muddy pool of water. That is, we will tend to see only the negative. We will tend to remember only the negative. We will tend to remember only that which takes us away from the positive. A classic example that I use, if today in my sermon I say something negative about anyone here, every one of you will remember that all of your life. But all the positive things I said, after about 2 or 3 weeks, it'll be hard for you to remember. But the one negative thing I say, and sometimes I do this just so you can remember me. I say something negative and you'll always remember me. That Panditji said that thing, But all the good things, never remember me. As such, we tend to move to the negative. And as I mentioned, you don't have to plant weeds. You have to plant tomato seeds. You have to plant pepper plants. But weeds you never plant. You ever notice that? You have to work at getting rid of the weeds. Darkness and negativity, you don't have to encourage it. It seems to be the dominating phase. Like when you take this light off, you do not have to call in darkness. Darkness is there. So we have to work hard to get rid of the darkness in our lives. And the working hard to get rid of the darkness in our lives is that we have to follow a certain protocol. And by the way, when I say darkness, let me give you an example of what darkness is. Darkness means doubt. I don't believe in myself. Darkness means inferiority complex. Darkness means fear of tomorrow. Darkness means fear of death. Darkness means having no faith in God. Darkness means not having faith in myself. Darkness means not believing in those who care for me. Darkness means not loving. Darkness means not having compassion. Darkness means not being forgiving. These are all the states of darkness. What is the state of light? What are the states of light? When we can appreciate what we have. Sant Goswami Tulsidas tells us that we can appreciate, we need to appreciate what we have. For that is the first enlightening state of human existence. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram.
Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
ओ तुम्ही निवेदित भोजन करई प्रभु प्रसाद पद भूषण धरई
Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
राम
Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
One state of enlightenment, or to be the reality, one of the key states of enlightenment, or a state of light versus darkness, is when we can be thankful for what we have in the world. The person who does not realize that giving thanks is important is in the darkest state of human existence. When we declare, I don't owe anybody anything, that is the highest form of ignorance. And that is what's called the tamasic state. When we feel we owe no one anything. We have paid everybody. No one has done anything for me. By the way, I'm not talking about anybody here. I'm sure no one feels like this here. It's the people who didn't come to Mandir I'm talking about. But when we make a declaration that I don't owe anybody anything, no one did anything for me, I must at that moment hear a big noise sounding in my head. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Because you must be crazy. Because no human being is independent. We are all interdependent. We depend on someone else. It doesn't matter how much we want to have independence, we still depend on someone else. The tomato plant will grow its fruit and says, look, I have given this fruit, but the rain will say, if I didn't fall, you wouldn't grow and the fruit wouldn't grow. The sun will say, if I didn't shine, you could not be. Everybody has something to contribute to everybody else so that we can be. As such, the first state of light in our lives is that I have to thank God for that which I have. And that is why, in the Hinduism way of life, we have these 5 duties that we are supposed to perform every day. And the first one is to give thanks to God. It is called Dev Yajna. We must pray to God. And when praise, many of us misunderstand what praises are. Like here's an example of some of us how we pray. God, you know, my boss is terrible. Imagine God is sitting on a chair and listening to us and he said, I know. Because God knows everything. God, my spouse, oh, terrible spouse. God, my and God is saying, yes, I know. Because he knows everything, doesn't he? So why are we telling him this? When I said Dev Yajna, we mean we must give thanks to God, not complain to God, not tell him we want something more, not tell him our pain and misery, but just thank you God for being there for me. That is what prayers are supposed to be. We all misunderstand. Someone said, Panditji, I am sick and I have cancer. Should I not tell God? I say, you don't think he knows? Are you not insulting his intelligence by thinking he doesn't know you have cancer? He knows everything. So do not insult his intelligence. Just appreciate his presence in your life. You know, there's a story about a very renowned African-American tennis player. His name was Arthur Ashe. Anybody old enough to remember this person? Yes. Arthur Ashe became the first African-American or first African to win at Wimbledon, to become the Wimbledon champion. He became the most famous man in the world, not because only that he has won that championship, but because he was an African. He was a young, energetic, youthful man. And at that time, when no one knew about AIDS, Arthur Ashe contracted AIDS. Not because of any promiscuousness, blood transfusion and error, and he got AIDS. And his life was limited. He was interviewed on television and was asked, you know, you have made the black people of the world so proud of you. And you believe in God? Yes, he says. He says, how do you justify this God of yours when he's giving you such fame and now he's making you such a miserable person that you will die from AIDS. And there was a moment of silence. And Arthur said, you know what? When God made me the most famous person in the world, I didn't complain. Why should I complain now? When he made me the most famous person in the world, I didn't complain. Why should I complain now? We never complain when we're getting everything we want, but we complain when something happens that we didn't plan, or maybe we created. As such, someone is a Panditji, you mean I should be thanking God for because I'm sick? No, I'm thanking God for the oxygen I'm getting while I'm sick. I'm thanking God for the sunlight that He gives me while I'm sick. I'm thanking God for the care I get in the hospital while I'm sick. I'm thanking God for my parents and everybody being there for me when I'm sick. I have a lot to thank God for, don't I? But I'm only seeing the small negative part of, I'm sick. What about all the supporting factors to help you to recover from your illness? As such, these are the lessons. The number one lesson is to appreciate what we have. And when I say appreciate what we have, many of us think of our money. That's the least of our possessions. Our relationships are our most and should be our most valuable possessions. We must cherish and honor our relationships at all times. Our human relationships and our God relationship. Prem Sutitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. And he gives the analogy of how we must appreciate God when we rise in the morning. Prabhu Prasad Suchi Subhaga Subhasa Sadhar Jasulahi Nitanasa. That everything is Prabhu Prasad. Everything is a gift from God that I must be thankful to God about. Tumihi nivedit bhojana karahi Prabhu Prasad padabhushana dare. Everything is naived. Everything that we eat becomes naived when we say Krishna Arpanam. To you, God, I offer first. Everything that we take, a new suit of clothes, a new piece of jewelry, a car, a new pair of shoes, whatever it is, Bhagwan ka kripa. Through the compassion of God, I have received it. He said, when we can live in life and not anything more, we must appreciate everyone around us. You know, we mustn't say, oh, you are my friend or you're not my friend. I like you because you give me things. I like you because you agree with me. And I don't like you because you don't give me anything and because you disagree with me. Isn't that how it goes? If you give and you agree, you're liked. If you don't give and you don't agree, we don't like you. No, no, no. We must not make rules and regulations. God is in everyone. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna is telling Arjuna that he says, my devotee, Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitraha karuna evacha nirmamoha nirahankara sammadukha sukha chami sammadukha sukha chami. Adveshta sarva bhutanam. He says, my devotee has no lines drawn about hatred, likes and dislikes to my creation. Advesh sarva bhutanam, have no hatred against none of my creation. Not only humanity, none of my creation. And Maitra, they're friendly to all. As such, this concept of appreciating means friendship is a form of appreciating the world around us. Friendship is a form of appreciating the world around us. There are many people in the world who have everything but no friends. Now, what is a friend? Somebody said a friend in need is a friend indeed. You know, there's a beautiful song that talks about Bhagwan Krishna, and he's called Deena Bandhu. Literally translated means a friend of those who are in distress. Bhagavan is Deena Bandhu. God is always there when we are in distress. It doesn't mean that He's not there when we are not in distress. He says, but He is genuinely guaranteed to be there. But there is no guarantee that the materialistic friend will be there when we are in need. One poet tells us, Sukh ke sab saathi dukh mein na koi sukh ke sab saathi मेरे राम तेरा नाम एक सांझा तू जाना को सुख के
सब साथ दुख में न कोई।
कविता कहता है, the poet is saying, Sukh ke sab saathi. When there is plenty and happiness in our lives, we have lots of friends. Dukh mein na koi. But when there is challenges and unhappiness, our friends are very rare. Now, let us take this in its full context. So, when I was in good time, I have lots of friends. And then when bad times came, I didn't have any friends. So when good time came again, I wrote all of those friends off and says, you're not my friend. I don't want you to be my friend. You all were not there for me when I needed you. Is that what the Lord is saying? He said, no. You and I must always be friendly to everyone, regardless of what they did. Many of us, our friendship is based on what the other person did. They didn't treat me nice, I cannot be their friend. So you're only their friend because they were treating you nice. But if you are their friend, it doesn't matter how they treat you. You are their friend. A mother and father doesn't say, I'm not a mother and father because the child turned out bad. Mother and father says, I'm a mother and father, and we are supposed to love. So friendship, although we say, some people say friendship is a two-way thing. No, it's not. It's a one-way thing. Friendship is a one-way thing. Love is in the eyes of the beholder. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Somebody is looking at someone and says, I love you. And you're saying, that ugly person you love? Love is in the eyes of the beholder. We must love without expecting love. Advesha sarvabhutana maitraha. No hatred, always be friendly. By the way, this is the philosophy of all faith systems. Even to our enemy, we must extend love and affection. Here, Sant Goswami Tulsidas is explaining to us that one of the key value systems in our day-to-day lives, in learning how to live and to love, is to appreciate what we have. And that goes for everything we have. Everything. When we say appreciate, it is not monetary value. Most of us, we must appreciate our relationships in life. And the most powerful relationship we have is the one with God. Now he tells us that if we learn to appreciate what we have, then there is a way to appreciate. You know, many of us appreciate, but we do it in an egotistical way. Oh, you are my best friend. I know you are because I know you have money. You're my best friend because you know that I have something. That's why you're my best friend. That's appreciating, but in a very egotistical way. Here is how the Lord says we must appreciate. Sri Ram Jai Ram Ram पद पूजा करनी करही राम पद पूजा राम भरोस हृदय नहीं दूजा
श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम
शीश नवहि सुरु गुरु द्विज दे की शीश, this head. Bowing is considered to be, in all traditions, to mean humbleness. Can we bow with arrogance? Can we bow our heads and still be arrogant? The answer is yes. Oh, everybody's bowing, I might as well do it too. Because it wouldn't look good if I didn't bow. I'm not talking about you folks here. Everybody here bows because they want to. And you know, I've noticed some people bow like this. If they're coming to bow to me, they will, from far away, they'll stretch their hands like this. I don't want to, like, it's hard, they're holding their hands to bow. Their body doesn't bend. And then there's so people, when they bow, it's naturally, gracefully. When they become an artist, a dancer, a Kathak dancer, just gracefully bowing. It becomes an art form. Rabindranath Tagore, one of the great souls of our time, wrote in one of his writings that every human being, when we rise in the morning, one of the duties we must do is to remind ourselves to be humble. And he suggested the method of taking our chappal, our slippers, and slapping our faces. Wake up, O mankind, you are nothing. And start off the day understanding that you are nothing and everything you have is given to you by someone else. And as such, don't hesitate to be humble at any time. Sheesh namahi suru guru dvij dekhi preeti sahit kari vinay vishesh. He says, to be humble, what have you got to lose? Now, how many of us have ever seen or been part of people fetching water on their head on a bucket? Anybody did that in their lives? Ladies, when you do this, you look very graceful when you're walking with a bucket on your head. You know, but if you are walking with a bucket on your head and somebody came by and said, Sitaram to you, and you tried to bow, what would happen? If you tried to bow, what would happen? All the water will fall out. Many of us are walking around the world like if we have a bucket on our heads. And we're afraid that if we bend our head, something will fall out. So we don't bend, we will lose something. But he says, when we bend and if we have a bucket on our head, it's very empty. Someone may put something inside because we humble ourselves. So as such, we must not walk around as if we have a bucket on our head that's filled of everything. Many of us believe we are filled of everything. And as such, why should we bow to anyone? No. Humility is nurturing the inner spirit of spirituality. The more humble we are, the more spiritual we get. The more humble we are, the more beauty we have in life. The more humble we are, the more beautiful we look. Some people believe good-looking people are those with makeup on. I don't have any makeup on this morning, but our greatest beauty lies in our humility, not in our facial appearance. Hanumanji is a classic example. His beauty lies in his humility. He is humble in every aspect, and the entire world reveres him and loves him. And they call him a teacher. Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai, Kripa Karo Gurudev Kinai. Praise be to you, Hanumanji. Kripa Karo Gurudev. You are like a guru. You are like a teacher. Hanumanji is a teacher. What does he teach us? Not ABC and mathematics. It teaches us how to be a servant of Bhagwan. He teaches that we must always be willing to serve, ready to serve. There is a beautiful katha, little story about Hanumanji, about being ready to serve. We are told that once, after Prabhu Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan destroyed Ravan, he placed Vibhishan on the throne of Lanka, and he and all of the Bandhas had returned back to Ayodhya. Jamwant, Hanumanji, and many other, Nal and Neel and all the others, and they returned to Ayodhya, and there Prabhu Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan was installed upon the Raj Gadhi, the throne, and Anandam, the place was blissful. Everything was just beautiful. Every day the sun rose, and when the sun was rising in the morning, everyone saw the beauty under the sunshine. When the sun set in the evening, everyone saw the beauty. When the rain fell, everyone saw the beauty. When the children were playing, everyone saw beauty in everything. They saw good in everything. And by the way, they all believed in this concept that the man who slept and dreamt that life was beauty arose to find that life was only duty. And he who performed his duty well discovered that life is beauty. So when Hanumanji had gone back with Prabhu Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan, everyone was there doing their duty, going to the Lord, taking a darshan. And one day, the secretary, Sumant, came to the Lord and said, Pitaji, Prabhuji, we do have a problem. Kya problem hai? One of your bhakta is not happy. Kya? In Ayodhya, somebody is not happy? Who? You will not believe. Hanuman. No way. Immediately the Lord jumped up from the throne and ran to where Hanuman was. And you know, when we are not happy and someone is coming, we try to put on a happy face. Hanuman tried to put on, the Lord said, don't do that. I know you're not happy. I want you to explain to this fellow here why you're not happy. He's very worried. Yes, Prabhuji, please tell him to explain. Oh, Prabhuji, koi baat nahi. Why are you worrying about this? Hanuman says, why is he disturbing you? You have more important things than to worry about me worrying. To worry about me worrying. Let me say that again. To worry about me worrying. My worries shouldn't be a problem to the Lord. My worries is my worries. But the Lord says, tell him what you're worrying about. Prabhuji, do I have to do it? Yes, he needs to know. Okay. Well, can I ask a couple of questions? Sir, Pratham question, he said, the first question is, you remember when you were in the battlefield and Lakshman was fighting with Meghnad? You remember when he was hit with that ban and he was given up for dead and you needed the Mool Sajivan? Yes. You remember when you asked me, I didn't say, why are you not asking Jamwant or somebody else? Do you know how dangerous this is? You only calling upon me to do work all the time? Did I do that? By the way, just to remind you all that when I ask you to do something, don't say that, okay? Why are you asking me all the time? You know, isn't there anybody else? No, he said, you didn't say that. I know you didn't. And he said, you know, when I went there, that it wasn't easy to get that leaf. I had to rip that entire mountain out. I understand. And when I was coming back, I was flying over Ayodhya. And you know what happened? No, what happened? Your brother Bharat was in Ayodhya, in Tapasya. And he saw me flying, and he took an arrow and he hit me and tossed me to the ground. I'm trying to save one brother's life and the other brother is trying to kill me. Did I complain? He says, no. Someone says, Prabhuji, will you tell him to get to the point, please? Yes, get to the point, Hanuman. Pitaji, Prabhuji, since you have come back here to this Ayodhya, every day millions of people are coming, one is feeding you, one is bathing, one is clothing, everybody is doing everything for you and they're also happy. I have not had a chance to do anything for you. How do you expect me to be happy? Oh, you're not happy because you're not getting a chance to serve the Lord? Do you know anybody who's unhappy because they didn't pray this morning? Don't put your hands up now, please. Someone says, so you're unhappy because you're not able to serve the Lord. Of course. What's the value of my life if I cannot serve Him? Prabhu Sri Ram smiled and says, no problem. Hanumanji, I have a job for you. Immediately he got up in his gadi and he said, where do I have to fight? He says, no wars, no more wars. What do you want me to do? He said, can you do this? He said, of course I can. The Lord started to walk away and said to him, I want you to do this when I sneeze. And he smiled and walked away. Sumant laughed. He says, you asked for it, now you have something. I want you to know, you don't even know when you're going to sneeze. How do you know when he's going to sneeze? Hanuman says, my Lord never gives anyone a task that is impossible. There is a way. Let me think about it. तपस्या करे. हाँ, प्रभु जी कोई बात नहीं. Don't worry, I have got it, my Lord. The Lord smiled. He says, I know you will get it. Sumant is listening. What have you got? He says, I will constantly, day and night, 24 hours a day, that whenever you sneeze, I shall be ready. Are you ready for God? Are you ready to serve God anytime? Or when you call upon, I'm sorry, I'm busy today. I'm sorry, no, call me next week. I'm sorry, no, I'm not, I got too many things to do. I have to work, I have my children, I have my husband, I have my wife, I have my car. I got a list of things why I can tell you I can't do that good. Hanuman says, nothing is important than serving my Lord. Now someone said, Panditji, how do you want me to serve this Lord when I have so many things to do? While you're doing the things that you're doing, let there be service to the Lord. The mother who cooks food in the morning for her children, I'm serving the Lord through serving my children. The man who does work, through his grace, God is giving me the strength to work. The man who collects his paycheck on Friday, thank you God, I have the energy. Everything is done in the name of God. Everything is done for and with God. As such, then I'm always serving God. Prem Sulo Bhavana Buddha Naman Ki Jai. So, we have learned that we must appreciate what we have. We are learning now that the humility in our lives complements our ability to appreciate what we have. When we can humbly appreciate. When we can humbly appreciate. It says that we must always never hesitate to be humble. And bowing the head is a representation of humility. Hanumanji, we are told that Sab sukh lahe tumhari sharana, tum rakshak kahu ko darana. Sab sukh, all happiness, lies at your feet, Hanumanji. All happiness lies at the feet of Hanumanji is the analogy that in humility all things belong to you. In the Abrahamic religion, Christ said that the meek shall inherit the earth. He meant the humble people will have everything. Doesn't mean that they have $1 million, meaning they will have total happiness at all times. There are many people who have millions of dollars but have zero happiness at any time. Prem So Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan Ki Jai. He continues to tell us that those who want to learn from the world what we must learn, Sri Ram Jai Ram,
Jai Jai Ram, Sri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram,
Sri Ram Jai Ram,
Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama.
Charan Ram Teerath chali jai, Charan Ram Teerath chali jai, Ram basau din ke man mai. Shri Ram
Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama,
Shri Ram Jai Ram,
Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama.
मंत्र नित जप ही तुम्हारा, मंत्र नित जप ही तुम्हारा, पूज ही तुम ही सहित परिवारा.
Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama.
We are talking about what we must learn in order to live so that we can love and we can leave a legacy. What we must learn, how to live. We must learn to appreciate what we have. We must learn to be humble. And we must also learn that we can apply ourselves, that there's so much we can do. Anybody remember my little story last night about the crackpot? We talked about that everyone has value. There is no one who is useless. Maybe there are some people in the world who are used less. Let me repeat that. There is no one in the world who is useless. There are some people in the world who are useless, meaning they don't get used at all. They're like a brand new frying pan sitting in the cupboard, never cooked anything. And as such, they never got any black smear in their body. You know, in order for the pan to cook, it has to get some smoke, it has to get burned a little bit, it has to get scrubbed a little bit. Then it has value. If you don't get burned a little bit, scrubbed a little bit of black smoke in your life a little bit, you have not used. You're just untainted, untarnished, and of no use. You're like the china cabinet piece. You know, everybody have a china cabinet in the house? They have these expensive plates inside. You don't touch them. They just look good. And every year you wash them and put them back just to look good. Many of us are looking good in the world. The world is full of good-looking people. The cosmetic industry is making more money than anything else, all to make people look good. But I wonder how much money we are spending on making people being good. We spend very little money on making people being good. We spend lots of money on making people look good. And we spend lots of money for people who were not good to make sure they get punished for not being good. Do you know how much money we spend on jails every year in this country? It costs approximately $275 a day to keep a person in prison. $275 a day to keep a person in prison. How much money do you think it will take to educate them right? $275 a day, 7 days a week. 7 to 14, come on, somebody help me quick. That's close to $2,000 a week to keep someone in jail. I wonder how much would it cost to keep them educated and give them a better opportunity to be a better person. It certainly wouldn't be $2,000. That's the reality. I have the opportunity to go to jails. I go to all the high security jails. That's called the federal prison system. You go to the federal prison system when you have to serve more than 2 years. If you have 2 years and below, you serve your time in what they call provincial systems. If you're a young person, then you stay in the juvenile institution. So we have one of the biggest one right here in Brampton, just about 10 minutes drive from here. I have been privileged or cursed to go to all of them. So I go to jail quite often. I am a jailbird. But the interesting thing I want to say, we Hindus must be proud of something. That in the prison systems, the government allocates money for what is called religious and spiritual care. That is, a chaplain, a priest is paid a fee to go to serve. But the fee is allocated based upon the inmate population. There's a graph. And you know, for every so many people in prison, there's one chaplain. But what is interesting is, we don't get any money, the Hindus, because we don't even show up on the graph. That's a good thing. So what I told them, I said, in order for us to get some money, I'm going to tell some more Hindus to go to jail, so that we can show up on the graph. But don't go there. We don't want to go in jail. So now we are talking about the doing. Learning and doing at the same time. You know, there are a lot of people who are learning all their lives, but doing nothing. Oh, I'm studying. Oh, I'm still learning. What have you learned? Oh, I'm still learning. You got to do something with what you learn. If not, it's useless. If I learn to play harmonium and I never play it, what's the point? If I can play tabla but I never play, what's the point? If I can make carpentry and I never do it, what's the point? Now, how many people like to do carpentry? You like to use a nail and hammer other than hit people with, you know? Many of us have talents that we don't use. You know, in this country, the tap doesn't work, call a plumber. $250 for the first visit. And all you have to do is unscrew it and put a little rubber washer that costs maybe 5 cents inside, and the plumber charges you $250 for the first visit. And then he charges you for a new tap also. But all we had to do was apply ourselves. You know, my daughter Indira is not here, but I'm very proud of her. The other day her plumbing was not working. She called me, Dad. I said, fix it yourself. But I can't. I said, you got a cell phone? Yeah. I said, take a picture, send it to me. Technology at work. Took a picture of the plumbing problem, send it to me. I said, it's a leak at the tap. You got a screwdriver? She knows where a screwdriver is. She got one, unscrewed it. I said, go buy the washer and put it in. She fixed it. Wanting to apply oneself. Sant Goswami Tulsidas tells us, Prabhu Sri Ramchandra Bhagwan is telling the world that how we must apply ourselves. Charan Ram Tirat Chali Jai, Ram Basahu Tinake Manamai. Charan, this feet. Charan Ram Tirat Chali Jai. He says you must let these feet take us to the Tirat. When we say Tirat, everyone thinks all of the holy rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Triveni, Godavari, and all of the holy places. Yes. But the greatest Tirat is done at home. जिन मात पिता की सेवा की, जिन मात पिता की सेवा की, तीरथ स्नान कियो न कियो, जिनके हृदय श्री राम बसे, और को नाम लियो न लियो, जिन माता पिता की सेवा की. He says, if we are not serving our mother and father while they're alive and when we have the opportunity, and we are going every year for Tirat to the Ganges and bathing ourselves, we're wasting our time. Because this Tirat, Charana Ram Tirat Chali Jai, not only the feet, every attribute of our being must be used to serve God. And this beautiful set of words explain this. Hai आँखों जो शाम का दर्शन किया करे. These eyes are not only intended to see what we desire, but we must seek out the presence of God here, there. Hai शीश वो जो प्रभु चरण में वंदन किया करे. This head is not to be held high in arrogance, but to bow humbly in service to humanity. बेकार वो मुख है जो रहे गरत बातों में, मुख वो है जो हरि नाम का सुमिरन किया करे. The voice that God has given us is not only to demand and to yell out what we want and what we must have, but it must be Hari Naam Sumiran Kare, to chant the name of God. हीरे मोती से नहीं शोभा है हाथ जो भगवान का पूजन किया करे. These hands are not only meant to be adorned by beautiful ornaments. हाथ जो भगवान का पूजन किया करे, it is meant to give thanks to God. मर कर भी अमर नाम है उस जीव का जग में, प्रभु प्रेम में बलिदान जो जीवन किया करे. We must realize that it is the compassionate nature of God that He gives this balidan, this sharir, to the soul that we may have earthly existence. So when we have this earthly existence, like I talked about last night, we must use it to its fullest capacity to ensure we get the best out of the investment of this human body. Prem se Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. First, we must appreciate. Second, we must be humble. Third, we must apply ourselves positively. What is the point of having a skill and not using it to the benefit of others? It's a total waste. Here, to go and to do what we can do whenever we can, wherever we can, for those whom will benefit, regardless. And then he says, मंत्र राजु नित जप ही तुम्हारा, पूज ही तुम ही सहित परिवार। मंत्र राजू नित जप ही तुम्हारा। मंत्र Raju, the king of mantras. We must chant every day. What is the king of mantras? The king of mantra is our Ishta Devata ka naam. Let me take a moment to explain what is Ishta Dev. Ishta Dev, everyone must have a chosen form of the Divine Lord. And that whenever we think of God, that form comes to our minds. Now to the husband and wives who are here, when the wife is with her friends and she says husband, hopefully there can be 1,000 men standing there and she's only seeing one picture. That is her husband. And when the husband is in front of 1,000 women and he says wife, he sees only one picture, that is his wife. When you and I says God, although there may be thousands of forms of God, there is only one that comes to mind. That is called the Ishtadev. One may ask, how does one identify one's Ishtadev? Is it because of our birth, the lagan, or the nakshat? Nahi. If you have not identified with an Ishtadev, here is my suggestion. That if you live in this area and you come to Ram Mandir regularly, come here on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night. God is here every day, but those nights are very quiet. Sit in this mandir quietly when there's not much and look at all of these murtis. Look intensely with love in your heart, and one of them will smile back at you. Don't tell anybody this, they will think you're crazy. One will smile right back at you, and that will be the Ishtadev. That is the one you have an affinity with. And when you think of, hey God, that name will come right away. That personality. Like when you say Ma, mother comes. When you say Daddy, father comes. When you say, the name is greater than the Ram se bara, Ram ka naam. So we need Ishtadev. Mantra Junita Japai Tumara is everyone must be connected with a name to the divine. And that name, Saras Suhavan अति मन भावन राम से प्रीत लगा ले मन में राम बसा ले बोलो राम जय जय राम बोलो राम जय जय राम बोलो राम सरस सुहावन अति मन भावन राम से प्रीत लगा ले मन में राम बसा ले सरस सुहावन अति मन भावन. The name of God is so sweet. You know, we all know the taste of sugar, right? We all know the taste of honey. We all know the taste of kheer. It is not those tastes I'm talking about. What is the taste of satisfaction? How does that taste? Does it taste like honey, kheer, or sugar? What is the taste of personal fulfillment? I feel good about who I am. I feel good about what I've done today. How does that taste? There's a taste in our mouth. Like, you know, when you're angry, there's a bitter taste in your mouth. When you hate someone, when you're hurt, there's a bitter. How does it taste? When you are fulfilled. Sarasa Suhavan. It is that sweet taste. The name of God brings to our mind. Ati Man Bhavan. And the mind becomes, oh, so pleased, so pleasant, so complete and fulfilled. So the name of God is very important in our lives. And in Hinduism, Vishnu Sahasranam made, we have 1,000 names. I'm sure we could find one. But by the way, don't let anyone tell you that we have 1,000 gods. We don't have 1,000 gods. We just have one God with many names. And someone said, Panditji, why does he have to have so many names? Well, I have at least about 20 names myself. Me. Right here I have, let me see, today they're calling me Vyas. My daughter calls me Dad. But today she is calling me Vyas and she's doing puja. My godchildren call me Guruji. Many of you call me Panditji. My wife calls me names I can't tell you all. Right? My brother calls me a brother. My cousin will call me cousin. When I'm a consultant, I'm a consultant. Look how many names I have. I'm only one person. And I have all of these names I answer to. When my daughter says dad, I answer. When my wife says hey, I answer. When my cousin says cousin, I'm answering. I'm answering to every different name, but yet I'm one person. Bhagwan will answer to any name. He's only one personality. So don't let anyone confuse you that you have many gods. There is only one God. Prem so Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Now, this other half of the Chaupai is so profound. मंतराज नित जप ही तुम्हारा, पूज ही तुम्हि सहित परिवारा, पूज ही तुम्हि सहित परिवारा, पूज ही तुम्हि sahita parivara. He says when the family sits together and prays, that is what we need to learn. We need to learn that we must have this value system created in our life, that as we start bringing up a family, that the mother and father must sit with the child and pray to God together. That just like they want to sit together and watch TV, they want to go together at the soccer game, they want to have dinner together, they want to go to Chuck E. Cheese together, to KFC together, to whatever they go together, they must also pray together. But not only the husband drops off the wife and says, you go pray, I'm going to do something else. When the family that prays together, it is said that's the family that has a better chance of staying together. And that staying together is a mental state. Sometimes it's not physically or logistically practical for everybody to be together at all time, but the concept must be there and the opportunity must be grasped at any time that we must sit together and give thanks to God. And as such, this mandir affords an opportunity for that. Family worship, where we can come together as one family. Husband and wife sitting together with children and listening and praying and chanting together. There is nothing more beautiful. When we go to a cricket game or a soccer game, we're all jumping and laughing together, eating popcorn together. When we go to a movie, it's all... So when we pray together. Sant Goswami Tulsidas says that we must learn in life. In order to live life to its fullest, we must love and pray together. Prem so Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Bolo Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Now I've talked about what we need to learn. Let me review them so when I ask you the question, you will know the answer. We must learn to appreciate what we have. We must learn to appreciate that, okay, the good things in life. And the greatest good things in life is when we can be thankful to God for all that we have. And what we have is we have life, liberty, the ability to think and to be whatever we want to be. That is a gift from God. God did not create us that we must be what He wanted us to be. He created us and gave us the ability to be what you want to be. But He says, here are the guidelines of what you should be. He says, I'm flexible, but remember, these are the guidelines. Secondly, in being what we want to be, in appreciating what we have, we must be humble in our approach to humanity. And in this humble state, we are closer to the reality of God. Thirdly, we must apply ourselves in making ourselves meaningful in become valuable in the lives of others, not only in our lives. We must not only be about ourselves, we must be about others. And in so doing, it's about ourselves. Indirectly, what we do for others, we benefit tremendously. But if we only do for ourselves, then we may not even benefit at all. Because in only doing for ourselves, we lose the joy and love of the relationship of others. And we lose rather than gain. Fourthly, Mantra Raju, we must have some guidance, some focus in our lives, some deity we worship, some Ishta Devata. And fifth, Puja Itumehi Sahita Parivara. We must always be conscious of the reality of the family, contemplating God together from time to time. When having all of these good qualities, what do we ask God for? We are good people, so God, what do we want? Here is what Sant Goswami Tulsidas says we must ask for. सब कर मांगई एक पलू राम चरण रति हो इनके मन मंदिर बसऊं सिय रघुनंदन दो सियावर रामचंद्र की जय सब करी मांगई एक पलू सब करी मांगई एक पलू राम चरण रति हो तिनके मन मंदिर बसऊं सिय रघुनंदन दो सियावर रामचंद्र की जय शरणम. Having developed all of these good qualities of seeing the good at all time, appreciating all that we have, being humble, seeking the opportunity to serve in the name of God, having an Ishtadev, praying to God together, ask God only for one thing. Sab karu mang ek palu. One fruit. What is it? Ram charana rati hoy. Oh God, keep me close to your feet at all times. Someone said, Panditji, I want a big house. I'm being a good person. I've done all of these good things. Can I not ask God for a big house? No. He says, all you should want is to be at the feet of God. What does being to the feet of God mean? It says, when we talked about Hanumanji, Sab sukh lahe tumhari sharana, tum rakshak kahu ko dharna. When we are at your feet, Sab sukh lahe, all happiness lies at your feet. Being at the feet of God means that we are totally content with ourselves. And you know, there is no unhappiness when we are content. There is unhappiness when we have a desire. When I want something that I can't get, unhappiness. If I want nothing, then there is no unhappiness. Ram charana dati hoy. Today I want to conclude our katha, and this year at this point, with this thought that we all have desires. We cannot live in the world without desires. We all have wants, and we have desires, and then we have needs. Let's understand the difference between needs, wants, and desires. The need, I need water, food, clothing, shelter, physiological. Abraham Maslow, sociologist, says every human being needs this first. If you do not have water, and if you do not have food, if you do not have water and food, we will eat each other. We become cannibalistic right away. When we have water, food, then we look for shelter for our body, and then protection, clothing, in that order. Then when we have water, food, clothing, and shelter, we move up the ladder of needs, and we have the psychological needs. We want to be loved, we want to belong, we want to know that we can contribute. And when our physiological and psychological needs are satisfied, Abraham Maslow says, we self-actualize. we realize that I am. And Hinduism says we self-realize. But it's not only we are realized because we have water, food, clothing and shelter. It is because we have learned to live and to love God in our lives. We have lived and learned to love God in our lives. And by learning to live and love God in our lives, we self-actualize. The self-actualization is I realize God is within me at all times. And that if I ever want anything from God, it is to be close to you, God, at all times. The two people who are in love says, all I want from you is for you to be close to me at all times. In the wedding ceremony in the Satvachan, Tirthavratodapanaya gyadanam maya sayatya karikarma kuryat vamangamaya mitadatvadiyam jagatvakyam pratamam kumari. The bride is saying to the groom, Tirthavrata yagyadana. He says, whatever you're doing, I want to be physically with you at all times. And if not practical, I want to be mentally in your mind at all times. By the way, that's the commitment you make, gentlemen, when you get married. That's the first request made by the bride. But most of these weddings, there's so much noise going on, the bride and groom can't hear anything, and the pandit is just mumbling in the background. But we've changed that over the last couple of years. The weddings, everybody understands what's being said, and there's no noise, not in the weddings that I conduct anyway. Many people are upset with this, Panditji, we're not going to have the band and all that. I said, no, if you want to have the band, have them a reception. We are doing a Vivah Sanskar, a wedding ceremony, and this is a wedding ceremony, not the dance and jump up story. We'll dance and jump up before and after, in between, but not during the ceremony. Prem So Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. So in conclusion, what do we ask God for? What do we ask God for? I want to have good children, God. No. Bhagavan says, oh, everyone that I bring in this world is good. Are you telling me I bring bad people in the world? So he says, I want to have good food. The trees and everything, rain. I'm doing everything that we ask for. He says, I've given you already. Is there anything we can ask for that God has not given? But he says, but they have more than I have. I want some more. I gave them money. I gave you money, but they got more. Ishavasamidam sarvam yat kincham jagatam jagat ten tyakchena bunjita magdirkasya sridanam Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namo. The Lord says, Isha Vasamidam Sarvam. I am that God of all things, animate and inanimate, and everything has its allocation. Everybody have equal time in this world. That doesn't sound like a fair statement, right? Some people live for 100 years, some people live for 5. Some people live for 20, some people live for 30, 40. And then God says everybody's equal? How is that? How many of us know a relay race? You know the relay race that they run? Pan Am Games? Have you ever looked when they're starting off, how do you look like they're in this line? Like one is there, one is here. They all look very unequal. But actually they are equal. But when they start off, although they look unequal, they're equal. And they start running, where does inequality comes into place? Is the handing off of the baton to the next one. If this runner in lane 2 is running slow, the person in lane 2 is going to get the baton late and suddenly they're behind. And then so on and so on. As such in life, every one of us has an equal opportunity, but it's how we pass on the baton from time to time that makes us fall behind or stay in front at all times. But God is fair, everybody starts off equal. Prem So Sitapati Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Now it's time for Prashan, questions.